Live from Johnny's Tavern in West Lawrence, this is Hawk Talk with Bill Self on the Jayhawks Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. In the next hour, Coach Self will break down your Jayhawks and take your questions at 1-800-845-HAWK. That's 1-800-845-HAWK. Hawk Talk with Bill Self is presented by Boulevard Brewing Company, local since 1989. Capital Federal Savings, celebrating 125 years. By Johnny's Tavern, serving up tradition since 1953 in the Lawrence and Kansas City area. And by Intrust Bank, proud supporter of Kansas athletics. Now, alongside Coach Self, here's your host, the voice of the Jayhawks, Brian Haney.
Good evening and welcome into Hawk Talk, coming at you live from Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence at 6th and Wakarusa in our brand new digs. We got a new party room here at Johnny's, the Hawk Talk Suites, and we'll be here going forward. And once we get into the warmer weather and we don't have snow days going on, they'll open up the garage door and have a second room that kind of opens up toward the outside, and we're going to have twice the seating capacity that we had before. So big thanks to everybody at Johnny's Tavern for putting together this special room for Coach Self and Coach Miles and all of our Hawk Talks in the weeks to come. Coach Self is with us tonight. You can join us here in person or give us a call at 1-800-845-HAWK. That's 1-800-845-4295. You can also submit your questions and comments for Coach anytime during the week online at kuathletics.com or Facebook and Twitter. Coach, great to see you. Thanks for joining us. I know Tuesday didn't go the way we hoped, but a chance to bounce back on Saturday versus Oklahoma State. How are the guys right now as they set their sights on the Cowboys?
They seem to be – how is this thing? I've got
Sorry
this
about
thing
that.
Totally jacked. Okay.
There we go.
They seem to be in good spirits. We just had a good spirited practice today, pretty long. Met before and then got after it. And, you know, we're kind of a depleted team, you know, right now. So, you know, I think we finished practice today with exactly 10 guys total, counting everybody. So that's not a great number when you can't even, you know, have a sub in practice. But we got through it and got a few things done. And guys' spirits are fine. You know, nobody. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I don't like K-State, but I don't dislike them from a personal thing. They're our rivals, so I don't like them. I don't like them for that reason. So there's absolutely nobody I would enjoy more defeating, and certainly nobody I would hate more to lose to. So without question, and you know, we went over there, and I actually thought the crowd was even better than what it normally is, and I normally think it's great. So I thought they did their job in a very positive way. I thought they played so hard defensively that, you know, it totally had us gun-shy early. You know, when you turned over the first two times you touch it, and then you realize, ooh, that pressure is different than what we have in practice and everything. But with all that being said, you know, we actually competed pretty good for the vast majority of the game. The law of averages prevailed the second half, where they made some of the same threes that they missed. But if you go back and look at it, you know, our offense was obviously not any good. But who scored 67 points against them?
Right.
Nobody. You know, they've had 12 games out of their 20 going into ours where their opponents have scored less than 60, and they only give up like 62 a game, even in league. Yep. So it wasn't, you know, even our offense is bad, but God, if the turnovers were 16 instead of 20, what was it, 23?
23. Yeah.
You know, 7, you score on half of them. You know, you're right. You know, right there with the chance to win. And so there were so many things that we did poorly, but the one thing that I would say that we did, you know, at least a decent job of is from a competing standpoint. I didn't think that – I thought that we tried hard. We just weren't as good as they were on this particular night. And so give them credit, and certainly you know, we were certainly disappointed, because I thought that it was a game that we could have won if a few things had gone our way and we'd done some things better. But the reality is we just weren't quite good enough, but but I think they deserve the credit for that, because that's what happens when you defend 70 out of 70 possessions. There's a lot more opportunity the other team will break down. Mm-hmm. And when you defend 60 out of 70 possessions, you're basically, giving away 10 possessions where it's okay if they score. Well, that's the difference in winning and losing when you're playing against a team that can really guard. I thought that our zone was good the first half, and the second half they kind of figured it out. But we did some good things, but just not enough of them.
The zone was great in the first half until McGurl hits the three in the final minute. You almost held them 10 minutes without a field goal. And I thought you hit the nail on the head with Greg Gurley in the postgame, saying that in that stretch you wish you could have been up by 9 or 12, something like that, as opposed to 6 and 3 ultimately.
Yeah. Well, but when you start out down 9
sure.
and you go up 6, that's a 15-point difference in a span of 15 minutes. So anybody would sell out for that, regardless of who you're playing. It's just that we got off to such a bad start, and then the fact that we had a chance, if I'm not mistaken, to go up 6 or 7 a couple of times in the first half there late, and then we didn't take advantage of it.
Right. And obviously they come out in the second half, grab the lead, and hang on to win it 74-67. But it was also one of those nights where, as you alluded to with today's 10 guys at practice, if you would have had Marcus Garrett, I'm sure a big difference would have been made just in having another wing to put in if Ochai or Quentin was struggling.
Yeah, but that's I think when coaches say those things, they're actually not giving credit where credit's deserved.
I understand.
They because those are excuses. So yeah, we would love to have that, but they play games without Dean Wade this year. I mean, everybody's played games without their guys. It seems like to me we played more games, but that's not who we were that night. We were a team that was there and totally capable of playing a little bit better than what we did. And now, granted, when you have injuries, the margin of error isn't near as great, obviously. But I never bought into that. Well, we didn't have him or this or that. And you still played. You still put 5 out there. And a lot of times when you don't have somebody and the guy you put out there is actually better than the guy that you had, there's a lot of times where that stuff happens too. So I've never bought into that theory at all.
I respect that. It just seemed when LeGerald struggled early and you sat him down for the rest of the half with no Marcus to turn to, you were kind of forced to go with what you had. And Charlie gave you some nice minutes.
Yeah.
Hit a couple of big shots.
We were actually better. Mm-hmm. We go from down 9 to take going up 6. So there was nothing that happened early in the game that affected us negatively. Getting to halftime, we were actually a better basketball team there the last 15 minutes of the first half.
How's LeGerald a couple of days later? Were there some lessons to be learned during his observation time?
Probably. I'll say this, and not being totally negative at all. He's got some things going on, and that isn't public things, and so I think that he hasn't been his best because of those things, and so he probably so, to answer your question, but I don't think it's anything that you go into in some of the things that he's had going on, but certainly it'd be nice to have our full complement, everybody doing this and that, but that wasn't the case when we played them.
Well, if you said you had 10 guys in practice today, I'm guessing they're the 10 that played on Tuesday night. Is Marcus any closer to a return?
No, I'm talking about 10 counting walk-ons.
Right, and that's the 10 that you played on Tuesday, okay. Right? Garrett and Chris?
Yeah, well, that's how many we finished with. So, Marcus actually he'll be doubtful again Saturday, but he actually did get on the court today and move around, maybe at half speed or something like that. But he's doing really well. But those high ankle sprains aren't something you just come back from in a quick time frame. So I still believe he'd be doubtful on Saturday.
They say in the NFL when those happen, it's 3 to 6 weeks. Is it any different in basketball? Movements are different, I suppose, a little bit, a lot more choppiness and sharp cuts and that kind of thing.
But if you look at it, in college, it never takes as long to come back as it does a professional athlete in so many ways, because a professional athlete is being paid that it is a property, it is an investment, and the agent and the team, we do not want to risk any damage or anything like this until we're 100% sure. And in college or high school you see it all the time. A kid get hurt and he's out there the next day. Well, that same injury may have knocked out a college guy a couple of weeks and knocked out a pro guy 6 weeks. So, but that's totally understandable when these franchises have so much money invested in these people. That why would you even put them on? It's like we want them to be 100% plus 10. And I always get a kick out of this. Brandon Rush came back from an ACL in four months and played. And not only did he play, we held him back 3 weeks from he actually getting out there because he could have played earlier. And he was a freak genetically as far as his body healing up. I mean, nobody heals that fast. And even the docs would say that. But it reached a point in time where he's passed all the strength deals. He's stronger in that leg than he ever was before. I mean, and so you put him out there. Whereas I think at the professional level, if you have an ACL, it's this amount of time, period. And so fortunately, we didn't have to deal with that on that particular injury. But I can certainly understand why we move very cautiously with some of those professional injuries.
Kristaps Porzingis is probably a good example of that, protecting the investment and giving him a full year. And heck, a guy like Kevin Love had a bad toe. He's been out all year, played 3 or 4 games before the toe injury.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I don't know anything about Porzingis, but you're talking about a guy that different body type. There's a lot of different things that go into that. So, but he was a guy saying, "Hey, I'm ready to go," and they're saying, "No. I know you think you're ready, but we're going to go ahead and slow it down a little bit."
Right. Good insight. We appreciate that, and we hope the best for Marcus as we inch our way closer to Saturday and then a quick turnaround on Monday at TCU. Well, we're coming at you live tonight from Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence. We'd love to have you join us in person here at 6th and Wakarusa, but if you can't, you can call the show at 1-800-845-HAWK. That's 1-800-845-4295, or text us 234-25-HAWKS, 234-25-HAWKS. Just think of Brandon Rush's jersey number, 25-HAWKS. Hawk Talk is brought to you by Diagnostic Imaging Centers, centered on you. More coming up with head coach Bill Self right after this on the Equity Bank Jayhawks Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
When you believe, you inspire. When you love, you dream. When you breathe, you create. When you laugh, you cry. And when you're reliable, you trust. Capital Federal, predictably true blue.
When we were caregiving for Grandma and Grandpa in their room, they wanted a certain temperature, and you could regulate and keep their temperature in that room instead of all of us sweating bullets in the house.
Kate's servicemen really understood our needs. We spoke to them about the grandparents' room. They wanted that one room very, very warm, and they were able to accomplish that. We know when we walk in the door, the temperature's going to be right where we like it. So it's been wonderful having Kate's Heating and Cooling. We love it.
Diagnostic Imaging Centers has always been at the forefront of new technology, delivering innovative solutions to patients for more than 50 years. Right here in Kansas City. From the bumps and bruises of childhood to the joys of starting your very own family and the peace of mind you get from a routine screening, Diagnostic Imaging Centers is building the future so you can focus on yours.
Here in Kansas, we're blessed with an abundance of oil and natural gas energy, as well as many other natural resources. Some folks say that producing oil and natural gas harms our farms and ranches. The truth is, oil and gas leasing and production are vital to sustaining Kansas farms and ranches from one generation to the next. We work together, and over the past 40 years, there has not been a single instance of groundwater pollution from hydraulic fracturing or injection wells in Kansas by our industry. Get the facts at kansasstrong.com.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus. It sounds out for good. For greatness. Can you hear it?
Down to 9 to shoot. Wade has it taken loose by Devon Dotson. It's a foot race to the cup. Right hand layup good. Devon Dotson turns defense into offense. Yeah. Nice rip and run by Devon Dotson, and 3 steals for Devon on the night. 13 points on 5 of 12 shooting. Welcome back to Hawk Talk, sponsored by Intrust Bank, a proud supporter of Kansas Athletics. We're coming at you live from Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence, and you can call us up if you like, 1-800-845-HAWK. Speaking of Devon Dotson, ultimately Devon fouls out, but I thought he played his heart out. And on a night where maybe some other freshmen looked like the rookies that they are, it seems like if there is any proverbial rookie wall, he's pushing through it because this kid's growing up a lot in recent weeks.
Yeah, I thought he did some really good things. He competed hard, and defensively, every game it seems like to me that he gives us what he's got on that end. And he's so fast and can slide, and you take for granted that usually the guy he's guarding very rarely ever scores. I mean, you just take that for granted, and we switch a lot, or we have been. So naturally, it's different guys. But he is, without question, our best perimeter defender. With the exception of Marcus. But you get those two out there; those two good guard defenders. And when Marcus is playing the guard slot, and he's doing some good things. He's getting downhill. He's attacking in transition. I think there's some things from a quarterback standpoint that he's going to continue to grow and understand, and how to basically work a game in certain situations that he's growing and learning and getting better at. But he's still got a ways to go there. But to think that he's done as well as he has, being a freshman and really not having a Devontae or Frank or Svi or Malik to help him through this, I think he's done remarkably well.
No doubt. And you mentioned driving the ball downhill, attacking assertively. Obviously, he's not where Frank was as a rim finisher, but he's attacking with an assertiveness that is pretty impressive for a guy that's only 20-some games into his career.
Yeah, well, Frank developed a floater. He developed left and right hand floaters, things like that, which Devon, we'll work on that, and he'll work on it, and he'll get better at that stuff. But, Frank didn't have that in his arsenal when he first got here. So I think Devon's done very, very well.
I mentioned that Ochai and Quinton, at times struggled the other night, and you're going to expect the growing pains of starting 3 freshmen. But how are those guys coming along, and how do you coach up an individual when he has a night of adversity like that one may have been?
I hadn't really talked about night of adversity. It doesn't take anybody that to read a box score and know that when you have 0 under the A column and 4 or 5 under the T column, that's not very good, especially if you're a guard. So we know that. I think the one thing that surprised our guys a little bit was, if you watched K-State's pressure, their pressure was so good early. But like all teams in all games, the pressure subsides a little bit as you get into the game. I mean, you can't help that. You want to deny every pass, and they were so turned up, and they ran through the first pass of the game. And then I think we turned it – no, they didn't run through the first pass. We turned it over the first possession. We caught the ball out of bounds, and then we turned it over the first pass of the second possession. And a guy was, not really cutting 100% to get open. Screen was probably a 50 or 60% effort screen, and you talked the whole time about making a first and second effort just to get open and things like that. And I think guys sometimes take that for granted until they're actually in a situation where somebody took that from them, and our guys got a reality check there pretty quick early on, and then after that the pressure kind of subsided a little bit, and when we turned it over, it wasn't because of pressure as much as it was just them being sound and us making unsound plays.
I was honestly impressed with how well you had them competing, considering on paper heading in this is the K-State seniors' big opportunity, having never beaten you before in their careers, their last chance at home, their whole careers, might hinge in terms of the way they're looked upon them winning that game. And you've got 3 freshmen that probably have no idea what they're walking into in terms of the rivalry. So I actually thought, as well as you competed, given the motivational discrepancy on paper, was impressive.
Yeah.
Maybe impressive is too strong, but you understand what I'm saying. Heading in, I mean, wow.
Yeah, but
this meant the world to those guys.
Well, it shouldn't be. I've never bought into that either. That it should mean more to one more than the other. I've never bought into that. So how in the world would them beating us mean more to them than us beating them? I never bought into that. So even though it's easy to do, I think when you're playing a game that's not circled on your calendar, but this game was circled on our calendar. This game was a game that we knew meant league implications and all those things. So I don't really buy into that because we had just as much to play for as what they did, obviously.
Certainly the return meeting will be circled even more with the bold Sharpie as well, coming up on February the 25th when the Cats come back to Allen Fieldhouse. We're going to dive into some audience questions in just a second. We'll take your phone calls as well, 1-800-845-HAWK, or you can text us 234-25-HAWKS if you'd like to text in on the text line. The temperature may be dropping, but the Jayhawks are heating up. Cheer louder and watch longer with an unfiltered wheat beer. Boulevard Brewing Company, local since 1989. Again, we're at Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence, 6th and Wakarusa. And for a great local sports bar, visit one of Johnny's Tavern's 10 area locations. More coming up from Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence on the Jayhawk Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Here's a tip by Charlie and a steal by Moore. Charlie to Ochai and a right hand posterizing jam. Ochai Agbaji rocks the rim here at K-State. What a dunk by Agbaji. You could indeed put that on a poster. That was special stuff in transition for KU on Tuesday night. Welcome back to Hawk Talk, live from Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence. Text us if you like, 234-25-HAWKS, our text line, and you can call in at 1-800-845-HAWK. Well, Coach, speaking of Ochai Agbaji, Bill's with us tonight, our first in-house audience question. He was wondering about the recruitment of Agbaji. He says when Agbaji was recruited, it was later and quicker than most KU recruits. How did he seem to be off the radar for so long, and then all of a sudden, as soon as you saw him, you offered pretty quickly? How do you remember the recruitment? And tell us the story, if you would.
Well, I can remember it only happened like, 10 months ago. I can remember that.
Right.
Norm had seen him a couple of times and was intrigued by him without question, very intrigued. And he was like going, Bill, you need to go see him. And so I went to go see him, and the first time I saw him, I thought he was really good. I thought he can run, he can jump, he can shoot, he can handle. He's aggressive. He seems to have a good spirit about him and all these things. And so I watched him. And then we had he and his family over to a couple of games right after that, and after meeting them, it was everything. We got to get this guy, and so it was a very, and this happens a lot in recruiting. Sometimes the ones that you have to do the least amount of work on turn out to be the best, and sometimes the one that you have to do the most work on, sometimes they labor, and there's just such an inexact science, and this is one that kind of fell in our lap, and he was recruited by other people, don't get me wrong. I mean, other good people. But the fact of the matter that we caught it at a perfect time, and, he grew up and wanted to play here. So it was, I don't want to say easy, but it was much easier than most.
What a great story it's been, and many more chapters to be penned in that story, that's for sure. Bill, thanks a lot for the question. We appreciate it. All right, obviously the turnover number was a bit of a bugaboo the other night with 23 of them, and David Reynolds is with us tonight. He wants to know, are turnovers mental or technique, and are there drills that could help, or is it just experience that helps you get over the turnover bug?
Probably a lot of all of what he's talking about. I think that experience helps. I think that drills obviously help as well, and putting your guys under situations where they got to pass and catch and under pressure situations obviously is very important. But there's some teams that are just better at not turning the ball over than other teams, but that's not always positive. I know people think I'm nuts. It's not always positive, because a lot of times teams that don't turn it over, the teams that turned over the least are teams that play primarily with one handler. I don't know if you remember when Aaron was here, Aaron Miles. I know that when I was here, we made Aaron bring it up, and then we designed a play where Aaron had to make the pass to finish the play. Well, and we were playing a little different then. So basically the ball was in Aaron's hands most every possession, with him deciding whether or not he throws the ball to Wayne or he throws the ball to Keith. And which worked really well for us, and we didn't turn it over much, and that's why Aaron averaged 8 assists a game. And then when you play a style that is equal opportunity, sometimes I think that leads to more turnovers, because you have some guys that aren't your primary handlers and best passers that have the ball more than some places that don't. Okay, and people say, well, why would you do that then? Well, the reason you would do that is player development. You want everybody to continue to get better throughout their career. Mm-hmm. So let's say this. Let's say that we wanted the 08 team's a little bit different, because we really didn't care if Sharon or Russell or Mario brought it up. It was not a big deal. But we wanted to play where it was, free ball and body movement. Or 2 years ago, did we care or last year, did we care if it was Malik or Svi or Devontae to make to handle the ball against we didn't care. Now there are certain times where we wanted Devontae to have it regardless, but do we want it to be Frank or Devontae or Svi or Josh Jackson? Well, we never said Josh pass it to Frank, and Josh turned it over probably more than Frank, but Josh part of his deal was being aggressive and making plays. That was good for our team. So, 23 is an outrageously bad number. But the reality of it is, if the number's around 13, you can live with that. I think we won a national championship with our number being right at 13. And so I know it can work. But these teams that turn it over 8 and 9 times a game, they're ridiculously good at what they do, but they probably don't put the ball in everybody's hands near as much.
Interesting insight. Thanks for the question, David. Coach, thanks for the answer. One more audience question before we get out to break. Todd Leaper Williams is with us, the legend. Todd, how you doing, buddy? He wants to know if you're planning on sticking with the 2-3 zone against Oklahoma State.
We will if we need to. I actually thought our zone was pretty good for the most part. I thought we did a good job, and we played it there last year. And it was really effective for us there last year as well, and when we won over there, and I didn't want to play it this year. And, obviously 4 minutes into the game, but it was certainly better for us. The thing about zones, if it's not your main diet, you can do it and you can be good at it and everything. But if it's not your main diet, but you want it to be your main diet on that particular night, sometimes if it's not what you do best, sometimes a team can kind of figure it out and get a little rhythm over time. Hindsight being 20/20, even when we were getting stops, we should have come out of it. We should have come out of it for a possession here, a possession there, just to give them a different look. And then so that way we can get back in it and maybe they wouldn't have found as much rhythm. But they didn't find a lot of, the thing about it is also, and this is something that we have to get better at, and it just drives me nuts. And if you follow us, you probably know this over time. One thing that we have been great at, not good, great at over time, is defending the last 5 to 7 seconds of the shot clock. Great. And it seems like, to me, everybody scores in the last 5 or 7 seconds of the shot clock now. I bet you Texas did obviously score at the end of the clock. Kentucky scored at the end of the clock. And then K-State the other night, even when we were in zone, how many times did they make a long shot or whatever with less than 5 on the clock? And we got to be able to close out those possessions. And that's one thing that this team has not done near as well as what we need to, because you think about it, there's certain things that we're not going to do as well as we've done in the past, and maybe a couple of things that we do better. Every team's like that, but we don't score in out of bounds plays anymore. We don't. We used to score at will.
Right.
We don't score near as many off of out of timeouts as what we have in the past. We used to.
At will.
Well, not at will, but quite often. And then other teams score at the end of the clock where they used to not do that very often. Well, you can take away the other 37 minutes of the game. Mm-hmm. Those 3 minutes where those possessions actually happen, that decides who wins and loses as much as the other 37 minutes. And so we got to become better in those areas. It's, I hate to say this because I'm not a football guy at all, but it's almost like your special teams. Mm-hmm. Your meat and potatoes is good. You play great defense, and you move the ball on offense, but when you punt it, they run it back for a touchdown, or when they punt to you, fumble it. Mm-hmm. So all the great things that you did on offense and defense were totally negated by something else.
Sure.
And I kind of feel like that's what's happening with us some, and we got to get better at that.
I'm not making excuses. I know you hate excuses, but how much of that scoring at the end of the clock or not scoring on an inbound play, baseline out of bounds, comes from not having a true rim protector or a big guy to lob it up to?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of that does. Yeah. We a big part of our offense in the past has been throwing lobs, huge part, and now we don't do that near as much. But still, though, you got to figure out some way to do other things, and so, to me, the easiest basket you can get in basketball is a lob, because you can throw it anywhere and doesn't have to be perfect. You just throw it away from the rim, and it's 2 points. And we've kind of lost some of that when with some personnel things, but you still got to figure out other ways to do it. And you know, we haven't been near as effective as what we need to be. We got to get better in those areas.
Folks forget Udoka had 120 dunks last year. That's a lot of easy finishes if you put it up around the rim. That this year it's a lot tougher to get without him in there. Well, we'll talk more about this team as they get set for Oklahoma State when we come back. We want to tell you about First National Bank first, though. They're offering you the chance to be an honorary captain, receive game tickets, an autographed ball, a VIP tour of the field house, and more. Register at any First National Bank branch or visit fnbo.com/Jayhawks. More Hawk Talk with Bill Self coming up from Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence, on the Jayhawks Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Diagnostic Imaging Centers has always been at the forefront of new technology, delivering innovative solutions to patients for more than 50 years, right here in Kansas City. From the bumps and bruises of childhood to the joys of starting your very own family and the peace of mind you get from a routine screening, Diagnostic Imaging Centers is building the future so you can focus on yours.
When you believe, you inspire. When you love, you dream. When you breathe, you create. When you laugh, you cry. And when you're reliable, you trust. Capital Federal, predictably true blue.
A smile, such a simple gesture, an effortless contraction of muscles, a flash of teeth. Healthy smiles have the power to spread joy, courage, and love. When you smile, it transforms you and the world around you. So if you feel the urge, go ahead and use that simple gesture to spread joy. Keep your smile healthy and strong. Choose Delta Dental for your individual or family plan, protecting more smiles than anyone.
Hello, Kansas. We're your energy industry. In the past, we've shown you beautiful slow-motion images of gorgeous Kansas sunsets, basketball games, and other images that promote our industry. But right now, it's important that you know the facts, like the fact that during the past 40 years, there has not been a single instance of groundwater pollution from hydraulic fracturing or injection wells in Kansas by our industry. We respect our state and its natural resources. Get the facts at kansasstrong.com.
Did you get your new Truity Visa card yet? You'll save money with 1.99 APR for 15 months. That's right, 1.99 APR with any new Truity Visa card. This rate's good on all purchases and cash advances for the first 15 months. What are you waiting for? Start saving money today. TruityCU.org/credit cards. With approved credit, come in or go online for details.
Here comes Kansas. Charlie Moore picks up his dribble left side, plays to Q. He'll dial up a three and hits.
How about that?
Quentin Grimes from the wing. Quentin Grimes with a couple of three-point makes in Manhattan the other night. Welcome back to Hawk Talk, live from our new home, Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence, and a beautiful new facility here. The party room is now the home of Hawk Talk, and it's not finished yet, Coach. They're going to have eventually TVs up all around. But what do you think of our new digs here under all this construction at Johnny's?
I like it. I like it a lot, and the food is really good here always, but I think it maybe even tastes better now.
How about that?
But this is going to be nice. From you know, I don't have a great vision without seeing the end result, but you're going to be able to seat more people and certainly create a much more festive atmosphere, I would think.
Absolutely.
So this is going to be good.
Big thanks to everybody at Johnny's Tavern for helping to make this possible, Rick and Jason and the whole crew. We'll get to more audience questions in just a second, but speaking of new digs, Sviatoslav Mikhailov's going to have a new home. He just got traded today from the Lakers to the Pistons. Obviously, the scenery a little bit different going from Southern California to Detroit, but Blake Griffin just made a similar move, so he can get some tips from him, I guess.
I think that Svi, you know, I'm not positive, but he grew up in the Ukraine, and I'm sure that's not similar to Los Angeles in many ways.
True.
So I don't think this will be a huge adjustment for Svi. I think he'll be just fine.
This will feel more like home.
I think he'll be just fine, and knowing him, and you guys have come to know him too. Just give him a ball and a gym and an opportunity to play, and he would be totally content wherever he is.
Absolutely. We wish him the best.
I was kind of hoping Frank would get moved today, but I don't believe he did. I haven't heard the latest. So
I did not see that one.
I guess Josh and there's so many rumors out there with different players, and I thought Josh or Kelly could be involved with even the Lakers when they were talking about Lonzo to Phoenix. So I thought, that would make sense to try to get one of those two to the Lakers. But I guess the Anthony Davis and all those things, I guess that didn't happen or materialize, and so we'll have to hear about that daily till the summertime.
Probably so.
To figure out what's going on.
We'll dive back into your team with some audience questions here. This next one comes from the birthday boy. Jerry's with us tonight, celebrating his 39th birthday for the 30th straight year.
That's right.
Jerry, thanks for being with us, man. He wants to know if there's anyone in particular on the team that's especially good at boosting morale and encouraging others.
I think Diedrich's the best we have. I do. I think Diedrich's a stud in so many ways, and I'd say Ochai's probably next. Mm-hmm. Marcus is pretty good too at that. But to me, Diedrich is the best at talking and encouraging. Even though other guys can do it pretty well, I still think he's the voice that's constant. He never shuts up from trying to tell guys, good job or encourage them in some way, shape, or form.
He's delightful from a media perspective too. Very gracious, grateful, appreciative. Love that. It has not at least annoyed him like some guys by the time they get to the end of their career, they don't like to do interviews. He does it with a smile on his face every time. So he's a great ambassador for us, that's for sure. All right, Brandon, let's take your question next. Brandon wants to know, this year's team's had some fluctuation in the lineup due to varying reasons. What teams have you coached in the past that remind you of this team?
From a lineup situation, I'm sure we've had them. We haven't had very many situations, to be candid with you. Doak obviously threw a kink in some things, but for the most part, it's been the same guys starting just about. I think we've got 3 guys that have started every game, so that's pretty good. And then LeGerald, in all honesty, probably would have been starting every game,
right.
If there hadn't been a couple of things going on, and that kind of leaves that wild card 5th spot, but. I can't remember off the top of my head a team that's like that. I've always thought that if you could settle in on a starting 5, it was best for your team for everybody to know who the starters were. I always thought that. And even if your best guys sometimes don't start, or the guys playing the best, it's still okay because they know their role. They know that when they're going to come in at the first TV timeout or whatever, rather than switching up their roles a lot and then trying to get them sometimes to adjust to that difference. People equate starting as a reward, which in some ways it is. I don't disagree with that at all. But you still want to do what's best for your team, and when you look at it, it's like coaches can be pretty stubborn, and I know I can be. But if we had the same starting 5 that was undefeated, and one guy averaged 2 points a game, he would keep starting. Even if a guy that replaced him was averaging 20. I mean, because you kind of get in a routine, and now you get offense off the bench, and there's some certain things you look at. But this has been a unique year. Brandon's right, but I don't think it's out of the ordinary for the most part.
All right, Brandon, thanks for the question. We appreciate it. Got to get out to another timeout. When we come back, though, we'll spin the wheel and have some more fun with Coach here at Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence. Don't miss Jayhawk coverage on Xfinity X1, Channel 258. This week it's men's basketball on Saturday the 9th versus Oklahoma State. Jayhawk Game Day Live comes your way at 10:30, 30 minutes prior to tip-off. More with head coach Bill Self coming your way next on the Equity Bank Jayhawk Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Charlie Moore, he'll take a three. He'll make a three. Charlie Moore from the wing. And finally, KU's on top. More highlights from Tuesday night's game in Manhattan. Welcome back to Hawk Talk, coming at you from our new location, Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence. We'll dive back into some audience questions and then spin the wheel. We've got the Patuto girls here tonight. Jason, who does a great job for our Jayhawk network in sales. He's got Gianna and Harper, whose two lovely daughters here. And Harper's wondering, since they had a snow day today, and so did our college students, by the way, they never seemed to cancel class when I was in school as often as they do now. But with all this ice and everything, the whole campus was shut down. So Harper says, on a snow day like today, what is your favorite movie to watch?
I would say Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Ooh, I like that.
That would be that's kind of a similar. Well, that wasn't really a snow day.
No.
That they took off. They just kind of took off.
He faked being sick.
And what's another one?
I was talking basketball movies with you. And
but I mean, if you're, but when I was growing up and you were growing up, even though we're not the same age, but if you had an off snow day, that would be something that I would watch. I don't have any snow days now, but
no.
But Risky Business may be one.
Okay.
But I don't know.
You told me Tyler Self used to watch Space Jam back in the day.
A lot. Yeah.
Would Dad watch it with him?
Yeah. Dad would. Dad would some. I enjoyed watching more movies with my daughter than Tyler, though. I got hooked on all those Disney movies when she was young, and I'm sure so many parents out there have. But Beauty and the Beast and all of those.
Yeah.
I bet you I've seen Beauty and the Beast 100 times.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Yeah.
It speaks to how much you love Lauren. But I never.
Well, I thought it was a great movie too. So I actually thought it was a great movie. A lot of times she'd go to bed, and I just have to finish it at the end of it. But
something I never knew about Bill Self. See, you never know what you're going to learn on Hawk Talk, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't even have to spin the wheel to get to that one. All right, Harper, thanks for the question. Gianna, thanks for being here tonight. We appreciate you too, darling. All right, we're going to spin the wheel. We do this each and every week. We've got 14 different celebrities of sorts that have recorded questions for Coach. He spins the wheel, and we see where it lands. Coach, go ahead.
Do we have any new ones that we're trying to get this time?
We added back to the board legendary numbers. We've taken that off temporarily.
Okay.
Spin the wheel, and Devon Dotson. All right, let's take a listen in on your freshman point guard.
Hey, Coach. This is Devon Dotson. I watched a lot of Derrick Rose growing up. I want to know, how was it like coaching against him in the 2008 championship game?
Devon, people think he's from Charlotte. Devon's from Chicago. So he moved to Charlotte, late in his high school career. So well, not late, but in his high school career. But, we recruited Derrick. And so I've known him a while, known him before. But he was – people forget because he's been so beat up in the NBA, but how good he was. I mean, he was not – great. He was exceptional.
Yeah.
And I remember – we're getting ready to play them, and I knew who had to guard him. I knew Sharon had to guard him. But I was saying, okay, scouting report. All right, guys, who's? I don't know who can guard him. And Sharon's going, I can't. I said, no, you're too little. I don't know who can guard him. Russ, you're going to have to, but gosh, I don't know. And Mario, no, and Brent, no. We don't have anybody. Coach, I can guard him. And I'm like going, no, you're too little. And just to try to get him mad. Sure. Because, Sharon grew up with Derrick.
Yeah.
And they played together all against high school. And he's, Sharon was like, he knows. He said, trust me, Coach, he knows. And I'm like, what does he know? I mean, you're too little. So, but looking back, we didn't do an unbelievable job on him because he still got his. But he was one great player. And, of course, he's the MVP of the NBA. I mean, and if it weren't for, I think it was an ACL injury that set him back initially, and then he's had more since then. I mean, there's no telling what that guy would have done.
Great answer. Love the motivational tactics on Sharon Collins, who was sitting right behind the KU bench the other night.
But Sharon was so easy. You could just say anything about him, and he would take it personal. Anything. Hey, I'm telling you what. The guard, their guy, we're not going to play against a better guard. we may not see a better guard this year, period. Play against him or on our team, anything. We may not, and that'd be the stuff that would just drive him nuts. But it didn't take much to motivate him.
You knew how to push the buttons. That's
with him,
sure.
Yeah. Some others not very well.
Well, especially with him. All right, good stuff. Devon Dotson, thank you for the question. We appreciate it on Spin the Wheel. When we come back, we'll announce the winner of this week's IconArtworks.com pewter Jayhawks statue for the top in-house audience question. That comes your way next on Hawk Talk from Johnny's Tavern West Lawrence on the Jayhawk Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
When we were caregiving for Grandma and Grandpa in their room, they wanted a certain temperature, and you could regulate and keep their temperature in that room instead of all of us sweating bullets in the house.
Kate's servicemen really understood our needs. We spoke to them about the grandparents' room. They wanted that one room very, very warm, and they were able to accomplish that. We know when we walk in the door, the temperature's going to be right where we like it. So it's been wonderful having Kate's heating and cooling. We love it.
You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant, rising. On this summit, callings converge, voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good, for greatness. Can you hear it?
Hi.
I'm not letting you in. No more apps.
But I can let you gain Kansas lottery points. Enter second chance drawings, win more. Points can go to any prize you want.
Any prize?
Yeah. Play on, man.
Okay, you can come in. But don't ask me to update you right away.
I mean, we hardly know each other.
Oh, right.
With the Play On app, you can gain more points and win more. See kslottery.com for details.
Here comes Vic. He'll try a three. He'll hit a three. LeGerald Vic from the left wing, and KU back within 5. More highlights from Tuesday night. Jayhawks back in action on Saturday versus Oklahoma State. The Cowboys come in at 2-7 in the league, 9-13 overall. Had a real close one with TCU last night. What are your thoughts on the Cowboys coming in with Coach Boynton?
Well, they've been up and down, much like we have. They're better than the record. Last night I don't know if people watched, but they go to TCU, and they tie the game at 58, I believe, and then TCU scores with 0.3 left to win by 2. So very capable. They've had some good wins. Obviously, they beat Texas and they beat South Carolina in the challenge but they have gone through so much this year, kind of like us. They're down to 6 scholarship players. Maybe it's 7, but I think it's 6. And now it's a good 6. Don't get me wrong, but they've had to dismiss some kids and do some things, and so you got to give Mike credit that he's doing it. I mean, Mike's really good. He's beyond his years, and they're doing it the right way. But they've run into some bad luck, and so naturally, I don't know how many scholarship guys we'll have to our availability, with injuries or whatnot. But it's not going to be 2 very deep teams going against each other. Saturday. But when both teams play well, it could be two very good teams playing, though.
Yeah, they have 9 on the total roster right now at Oklahoma State. You were talking about trying to get through practice with just 10 guys today. They
had walk-on tryouts in January, to try to get some guys that could just be there in practice to let their guys go against.
I wonder if they looked at Mike Gundy had anybody like you did a year ago.
Well, sure they did. Yeah, I'm sure they did. I don't have all the details, but that would I would think that would be something that they would positively do.
How's James doing, by the way? Do you still keep tabs with James Sosinski?
I haven't talked to James in a while, but I saw him. I know he comes to games. I saw him at a game, and I try to follow it, as much as I can. And I know he got some run this year, but probably not as much as we had hoped. So hopefully he'll have a good offseason and be ready to go next year.
But what memories for a lifetime and a ring he can show to his grandkids someday.
He scored in the Final Four.
He did.
He scored in the Final Four.
We
should have played him more. We should have played him more.
Exactly. So, all right, Coach. Pleasure as always. Let's give our top question of the night, sponsored by IconArtworks.com, to the birthday boy, Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry, congratulations. He asked about team morale building, and you said Diedrich Lawson the best at that. Jerry, you boost our morale with that great smile of yours each and every week out here at Hawk Talk. Thank you so much, and happy birthday to you. Check out IconArtworks.com. They have these beautiful Jayhawk statues in pewter and bronze. Will make a great gift, maybe even for Valentine's Day. Check them out today at IconArtworks.com. For Alex Birch and Steve Kincaid, as well as Coach Bill Self, I'm Brian Haney. We will see you next Tuesday for more Hawk Talk on the Jayhawk Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
You've been listening to Hawk Talk with Bill Self on the Jayhawk IMG Sports Network. Tune in each week to get the latest on Jayhawk basketball from the head coach, Bill Self. Tonight's edition of Hawk Talk has been presented by Boulevard Brewing Company, local since 1989. Capital Federal Savings, celebrating 125 years. By Johnny's Tavern, serving up tradition since 1953 in Lawrence and Kansas City area. And by Intrust Bank, proud supporter of Kansas athletics. Hawk Talk with Bill Self is an exclusive presentation of IMG, America's home for college sports.